He then received the sacraments of baptism, after which he was consecrated bishop. After giving out his fortunes to the church and the poor, Ambrose applied himself to the study of scriptures and ecclesiastical writings, placing himself under the instruction of the priest of the Church of Rome, who succeeded him as Archbishop of Milan. It's a bit confusing, isn't it? Some of you will ask, Mr. Florence, what are you saying? Somebody is appointed bishop? Yes. Things work the way it worked during those days. The church had not been organized the way it is now. But all we know is Ambrose came from a noble family. They were from Rome, but they did not live in Rome until the father died, and the mother took him back home. And back at home, he went to good schools. He enjoyed good education. After his education, he moved over to Milan to live with his brother. And while living with his brother, still learning his doctrine, he was appointed governor. And as governor, he did so well that the people saw that if he can lead us so well as a governor, then he will do better as a bishop. So when the see became vacant, the people asked him to become, but he refused. How can I become a bishop when I'm just a catechumen, when I'm still learning catechism? So he waited until he finished catechism, received baptism, and then he went over to be ordained bishop. And he gave all his fortune. Charity again, I told you. Sold his fortune and gave to the church and dedicated himself to the service of the poor. Yesterday, I emphasized when we celebrated the feast of St. Nicholas. Today, I am emphasizing again about the poor. Poor, 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 poor. VIPs of the church. You are going nowhere. No matter how you pray, no matter how many hours you spend in the church, once you don't set your hand to charity, and charity in on its form, you ask me who is the poor. If you see the poor, you will know them. Nowadays, it's difficult to determine who is poor because there's so much lies in the society. You stay and somebody comes and tell you, as it is like this. No, but there are still people who are genuinely poor, who need our help. You see them, you will know them. So that is what St. Ambrose did. From governor, from the death of his father, from staying with his brother, and today bishop, and today saint. So we'll continue to hammer poor, help poor, especially during this period of December, which is a festive period and celebration. Let us help the poor to enjoy Christmas and celebrate. So wish all the Ambroses a very, very happy feast day today. Remember to take care of the poor in your neighborhood, in your community. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Reverend Sister Florence Awambeng, for giving to us our saint of the day this morning. And today, the Universal Church is celebrating Saint Ambrose, who was a bishop, and he dedicated himself to the service of the church, and he also dedicated himself in helping the poor and the less privileged. Like we always tell you here in the studio of Divine Mercy Radio Television, all the programs Salve Vicinus will always encourage you to always take care of the poor. Don't wait until festive periods like this, like December, Christmas, and New Year, before you think of that less privileged mama or papa that is in your quartier, before you think, oh, I can give him maybe 2 cubes of Maggi, or I can give him a bottle of granite oil or red oil and all of that. If you are opportune to have a lot of things, it might be in between the month, it might be at the start of the year, then try as much as possible to lend a helping hand to that person out there, or to some persons out there. So thank you very much, sister, once more for giving to us our saint of the day this morning. Here on Salve Vicinus and here on DMR TV, we begin our day with God and we end our day with God. It is on this note that we welcome you to our second slot of the morning show, which is our reflection with Reverend Father Solomon Lyonga Ikundi.
Good morning, good and kind people of God. Today is Thursday of the first week of Advent, year B. Today, Holy Mother, the Church celebrates the memorial of Saint Ambrose. In the Gospel today, from Matthew chapter 7, verse 21, verse 24 to 27, Jesus says to us, "It is not those who say, 'Lord, Lord,' who will enter the kingdom of God, but those who do the will of my Father in heaven." My brothers and sisters, Saint Ambrose was a man of faith. He became the instrument used by God for the conversion of Saint Augustine. We are told that Saint Augustine had encountered many Catholics before encountering Saint Ambrose, but he remained an unbeliever. He remained unimpressed until the day he encountered Saint Ambrose, the man of faith, the man of God. Saint Ambrose was a convinced Christian. He was bishop, but he taught the Catholic doctrine as a teacher of the faith par excellence. Today, we can say that the church is going through a crisis of faith. We have many Christians who are not convinced of their faith. We have many Christians of convenience. And today, we even have Christian families who live the faith and put it sometimes in parentheses. We have Christian families who live the faith partially, and we have Christians who have one leg in the church and one leg outside. But we cannot give to the world what we do not have. Christian parents cannot pass on the faith adequately to their own children if they do not possess the faith. Saint Ambrose was able to touch the life of Saint Augustine because he lived the faith, he practiced the faith, he professed the faith. When Jesus tells us in Matthew chapter 7, verse 21, that what is important is not to say, "Lord, Lord," but to do the will of his Father in heaven. We should also understand that what is important is not to have been baptized. It is not enough to have received baptism. It is not enough to be a reverend father. It is not enough to have been ordained in the church. It is not enough to have received the sacrament of holy matrimony. But what Jesus expects of us is to do the will of God the Father in heaven. And my brothers and sisters, this gospel passage makes a difference between the man of faith and the man with no faith. Jesus himself tells us that the man who listens to these words and acts on them is like a man who built his house on solid rock. The rain came, gales blew, but the house was not affected. But the man with no faith is like a foolish and stupid man who built his house on top of sand. Let us beg St. Ambrose, whose memorial we celebrate today, to pray for all Christians in the world, that our Christians today may become more committed, converted, and convinced of their faith. May Almighty God bless you, the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Father Solomon Lionga Ikunzi, Divine Mercy Radio Television, Diocese of Buea.
Thank you very much, Reverend Father Solomon Lyonga Ikundi, for giving to us our reflection this morning. And like we said, during the Saint of the Day slot and on reflection, today the Universal Church is celebrating Saint Ambrose, who was a bishop and who dedicated himself in taking care of the poor and the less privileged, and who dedicated himself in defending the church. We as Christians and we as individuals, what do we do in order to defend the church? Some of us, all we do is to criticize what priests are doing in church, is to criticize what the church is doing, is to criticize what the catechist is doing, is to criticize what other Christians are doing. Always learn to defend where you are coming from, no matter your denomination or the religion you are coming from. Always learn to defend your church. Few minutes past the top hour, 7 a.m. by our studio clock, and it's still your favorite program on DMR TV, Salve Vicinus, a morning program that comes up every Monday to Friday as from 7 a.m. to 8:55 a.m. And I think it's time good for us to introduce to you our topic of discussion for you this morning, which is why do some men discriminate against women? That's the topic of discussion this morning. Remember, the 16 days of activism against violence against women and young girls is still going on, and it will end on the 10th of December 2023. So we'd like to get from you, why do some men discriminate against women? That's a topic of discussion for you this morning. And the topic, as well as the access code through which you can get to us this morning, will be put up on your screens in a few minutes' time. And you can still send in your contributions through our Facebook page on Divine Mercy Radio and TV service and make your contribution known this morning. Why do some men discriminate against women? That is a topic of discussion we have for you, our wonderful viewers, this morning, and we'll be expecting your contribution this morning. Well, that is our topic of discussion and the access code through which you can get to us this morning via SMS or via WhatsApp. And remember, rule number 1, please do not call the studio phone. When you call the studio phone, not be able to get your contribution. So if you want to contribute, do all to send us a text message on WhatsApp or on SMS. Let us meet Aloysius Likier with our Divine Mercy info this morning. If you're not informed, you are deformed. He is on standby to give us some of the big stories here in the Diocese of Buea and out of the country, Cameroon. Let us have the jingle to usher us in to our Divine Mercy info. That is our news in the English language.
Good morning, dear viewers of the Divine Mercy Radio Television. Thanks for joining us, and it's yet another day where, of course, your news block is here to give you news around the Diocese of Aboya, the country, and the world at large. We begin this morning here in the Diocese of Aboya, where, in view of the 75th anniversary celebration of the diocese that comes on April 2025, the Bishop of the Diocese of Aboya, Bishop Michael Bibi, has announced a pilgrimage to Rome, the cradle of our Catholic faith. This communique was released from the Bishop's desk yesterday here in Boya. Otop Joseph read through that communique and puts together this report.
To all clergy, all members of the Institute of Consecrated Life, all societies of apostolic life, all lay faithful Diocese of Boya. Circular on the Boya Diocesan Pilgrimage to Rome from the 1st to the 9th of May 2024. May God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ, in communion with the Holy Spirit, give you grace and peace. We are all aware that the Diocese of Boya had planned a diocesan pilgrimage to the Holy Land that was to run from the 7th to the 17th of November 2023. Unfortunately, due to the present war in Israel and Palestine, the trip was cancelled. However, the Holy Spirit has led us to yet another important route that we are to embark on. In view of the 75th anniversary of the creation of the Diocese of Boya, come April 2025, and in line with event marking the celebration of the Jubilee year 2025 in the Universal Church, we find it relevant and significant to recognize a pilgrimage to Rome, the cradle of our faith. This pilgrimage will run from the 1st to the 9th of May 2024. During the spiritual journey, pilgrims will experience the following. 1. They will walk in the footsteps of the apostles and first martyrs of a Catholic faith and enjoy the bella figura of the eternal city of Rome. 2. They will visit, say prayers, and offer the sacrifice of Holy Mass at the tombs of the princes of the apostles Peter and Paul. 3. They will pray at the catacombs where many martyrs of our Christian faith celebrated their heroic sacrifice for our faith. 4. They will participate at a special audience with the Holy Father Pope Francis. 5. They will attend the special Sunday Angelus prayer with the Holy Father. And finally, 6. They will visit all the 4 ancient basilicas of the one, Holy, Catholic and Apostolic Church. The objective ultimately is to give a diocesan family the opportunity to have a first-hand experience and a physical impression of the cradle of a Catholic faith, receive blessings from the saint in the eternal city, and return with renewed faith, hope, and love. This pilgrimage will be a 9-day spiritual encounter running from the 1st to the 9th of May 2024. The cost is projected at 1,800,000 francs. The said amount will cater for the round flight ticket from Douala to Rome and back, visa fee, full board, breakfast, lunch and dinner, from the day of arrival to the day of departure, accommodation double rooms, English-speaking tour guides in Rome, deluxe and comfortable coach for internal transportation, tickets into touristic sites, tips for guides and drivers. Payment can be done either at the Diocesan Finance Office Sumosopo Boya or at Eco Bank through the account name Boya Diocese and account number 315450000648. For more information, kindly contact Reverend Father Edwin Mai through the number 679-717955 or the Chancellor Reverend Father Augustine Anuchem through the number 670-344932. Yours in his service, Michael Bibi, Bishop of Boya.
What a wonderful experience it will be in Rome when, of course, the Diocese of Aboya will go to see the foundation of the Catholic faith and, of course, to renew our faith so we have a fruitful 75th anniversary celebration here in Boya. Moving on, the Catholic University Institute of Boya, the Douala campus, recently graduated its 10th batch of degree students and third batch of the NBA students, with a call for these professionals to put into practice all what they have gathered in that institution, including their moral values. This graduation ceremony took place recently in Douala. Jude Mbaku was present during that ceremony and puts together this report.
In a traditional Catholic fashion, this first ever graduation ceremony at the Douala campus commenced with a holy mass officiated by His Lordship Michael Bibi, Bishop of Boya. The prelate, who doubles as the chancellor, pro-chancellor of the institution, insisted on the need for these graduating students to go even closer to God as they approach the professional world. There are over 300 students graduating in both campuses, that is Boya and Douala, this year. This batch of students have braved the most challenging times to achieve excellence. This has prompted the president of CUIB, Reverend Father Bartholomew Anyao, to christen it the batch of resilience.
The batch has been christened the batch of resilience, that as entrepreneurs, wherever they find themselves, in whatever engagement they find themselves, they should really excel. That's our prayer and wish for them.
Speaking to the crowd at this event, the guest speaker during his keynote address, Dr. Daniel Ekongwe, dwelling on the theme, the spirit of excellence as the force that drives the mindset of entrepreneurial growth today, reminded the young professionals of the need to dream even bigger after school. The peace, governance, and development expert also shared his inspiring success story that left the graduates more ready for the tasks ahead of them out of school. Then came time to receive their crown. They walked up the stage from their different schools and departments. Amongst them, best graduating students with a GPA of 3.97 on 4, Reverend Sister Gwendolyn Bijinsang of the Department of Software Engineering. The valedictorian notes that every newcomer into the institution must have the entrepreneurial mindset.
I told them that the spirit of entrepreneurship is very important because it helps every one of us to be able to create businesses. All of us here have business plans, and all of us have been taught how to look for funding to begin those businesses, so that instead of being job seekers, we can be job creators.
The graduates are ready for the job market and are also conscious of what awaits them.
With the attitude, with the culture that has been imbibed into us, we are left with just one thing: to fight on, to get to the star, to excel, to represent ourselves best, and then represent the institution that we have graduated from.
Firstly, the growth mindset, which was impacted in us right from the beginning. We have our entrepreneurial skills and practice, which has been impacted to us for 4 years non-stop. We have our Christian studies, SCS, which has been also been impacted to us for 4 years, which has brought us up in the right way to be the perfect entrepreneur and a good neighbor in our society.
The world awaits these new graduates with hopes and optimism. As they celebrate with their families, friends, and loved ones, they are conscious of the future. The graduation at the Douala campus is first of its kind. Boya campus gears up for December the 7th, 2023 for its own 10th commencement exercise.
And as you heard from that report, the D-Day for the Boya campus is today, where of course we will be graduating its 10th batch of students. And just to inform you, our viewers, that it will be live here on Divine Mercy, both radio and television. Moving on, the African Sisters Education Collaborative have organized a seminar that is taking place in Limbe for superiors of congregations in the Bamenda Church province and beyond. The aim of this workshop is to educate these superiors how to lead their congregation in this crisis period. This workshop will wrap up today in Limbe. John Philip was there and puts together this report.
About 28 congregations of religious from within the province and beyond are here represented in the Diocese of Boya, precisely at the Holiday Inn Hotel in Limbe by their superiors. The superiors are here to deliberate on the theme Leadership in Crisis Situations, an event organized and sponsored by the African Sisters Education Collaborative, ASEC.
We are here because we felt we should find out what is going on with us and the crisis in Cameroon. How can we be of assistance to each of us religious? How can we be supportive? How can we work with the other people of God in the ecclesiastical province? So the problems we are facing is not just for ourselves, but it includes our sisters, it includes the general public, it includes the areas we are working, our workers, the teachers, the nurses, wherever we are. And it's an area of concern.
This is an association that is aimed at empowering religious women within the ecclesiastical province and have been successful in certain spheres.
In Cameroon, ASEC has been supporting sisters in a capacity building program referred to as the Sisters Leadership Development Initiative, where it supports sisters with skills in finance management, in leadership, and also in basic computer technology. And besides this, ASEC also supports sisters in having higher education credentials in the universities. And at this moment, it has a partnership with the Catholic University Institute of Buea and also the Catholic University of Cameroon, Bamenda, where it has supported over 40 sisters to obtain degrees at the bachelor's level and also at the master's level.
Some participants of the event expressed some difficulties they face and how they accompany those affected in the crisis throughout their suffering.
When we resumed our school in Bafut, St. Albert's Comprehensive College, we felt that we could not run St. Albert College the way we had done before. We had to make education accessible to people. Instead of running it as a boarding school, we decided to make it also a day school. So this was going to make the fees affordable to most families around. And our idea was, by doing this, we will make education affordable to families around our school because many of them had lost their livelihoods.
The aim of the conference is to come out with strategies that will enhance the lives of those suffering and lead to an end of this conflict.
Many suggestions came up and we are still battling on them. But I think one is standing out for us, that unanimously we would have a day we come out publicly as a group in the entire ecclesiastical province to pray the rosary, move round to advocate peace to Our Lady, the Lady of Peace. And so the next thing we want to see is how do we reach out to one another, because sometimes the sisters in Shison can have a problem. We in Boya or Kumba are not aware. So we are saying that we should have a stronger way of communicating among ourselves. I think another thing we want to do is like to see if we could create counseling centers. That is a big project because you must create the places, you must train the sisters, and they must have a livelihood. But at least if we conceive an idea, God is going to bring it to fruition.
They also deliberated on how to live together within their communities and with their superior, who is the bishop of the diocese, respecting the norms established by the canon law.
Many thanks, John Philip. We cross over to the Archdiocese of Bamenda, where Christians drawn from all the mission stations of the St. Felix and Thenafor parish out there in upstation Bamenda gathered over the weekend to celebrate the first anniversary erection of your parish. Reverend Father Rodrigue Yangsi attended that celebration and puts together this report.
It has been an exhilarating atmosphere here at Upstation St. Felix Tenefor Bamenda as they celebrate the anniversary of their erection as parish. All mission stations rallied at the main mission to celebrate the joy-marking event with a number of visiting priests to grace the occasion. The Mass commenced at 9 a.m. with the parish priest, Father Bernardine Som, as chief celebrant of the occasion. In his homily, he exhorted his Christians as he lit the first Advent candle to be a people of hope, placing their hope in Jesus Christ, for every other earthly power cannot give us the peace and joy which Jesus Christ gives alone.
Today we are celebrating the first anniversary of the erection of the parish, which was done on the 4th of December last year. And then we brought forward the Feast of St. Felix, which comes in January. So we're just trying to see how, like a parish, we'll first of all try to build up the community. And from that community, now they can build up everything that we need in the parish.
The chairperson, Mr. Moses, also thanked the Christians for all their contributions and unity as they grow every day as a parish community. He also recognized the instrumentality of their parish priest, Father Bernardine Som, in bringing unity in their community. The day was also graced with a march past and a lot of activities after the Mass from all the mission stations. We could see the joy resonate from the Christians as they expressed with a lot of excitement the joy of having this day celebrated as a community.
I am Ulrich Russell, the president of the Youth Council at St. Felix Parish, Tafi, and today we are here to enjoy the celebration for our first feast. And as we can see, we have our jubilous people here going on with choral music and traditional dance. And we are so very happy for this moment, and we pray that our further experiences and also the other celebrations we are going to have for the other years will be better than this.
Colorful celebrations out there in Bamenda. And moving on, the Imam of the Boya Central Mosque here in Boya, together with other imams in the country over the weekend, installed the spiritual father of Mutengene. The Imam of Boya, Alhaji Mohammed Abubakar, called the new spiritual father of Mutengene, Malam Bello Abubakar, to bring unity and try to foster peace and come together out there in Mutengene. This took place over the weekend, and our reporter Sharon Tita was there. She puts together this report.
After a long struggle and wait, these Muslim faithfuls in Mutengene finally have a new spiritual leader of the Mutengene Central Mosque in the person of Malam Bello Abubakar. Malam Bello Abubakar was fortified as the new spiritual father of the Muslim community by the Imam of Boya Central Mosque, Alhaji Mohammed Abubakar, together with other imams from different regions such as Douala, amongst others. Hence, the Muslim faithfuls sing with joy as they celebrate their new spiritual father. Alhaji Mohammed Abubakar, after fortifying the new Imam of Mutengene Central Mosque, urged him to foster unity amongst the various Muslim communities and to collaborate with administrative authorities.
The Imam should be a uniting factor. Let him connect with the other broken parts which are down, bring them together. Keep pride aside, bring them together, and we're also appealing to them that they should keep their pride aside and come and construct Mutengene for good. The administration of this subdivision, the Imam should make sure that he is in constant connection to know that when his community has difficulties, the first person he should knock the door, it is the Dio of Tiko.
Mutengene Muslim chief Saki Muhammadu Isiaka beckons on his subject to work in unity for lasting peace in the Muslim communities. The Muslim faithfuls in Mutengene are expected to work together with their new spiritual father to foster development through peace.
Sharon Tita with that report. The governor of the Southwest region, Bernardo Cala-Bilias, outlined some measures to boost the cocoa sector in the region, as well as security measures put in place in order to enable the population to have a hitch-free end-of-year celebration. This was during a security meeting that took place in the Kumbawan Council Hall. Let's now listen to this report from Nadesh May.
Since 2016, the Northwest and Southwest region have been facing socio-political and economic crisis, which has led to the death of many, properties destroyed, and rendered many homeless. It is the month of December where stakeholders in the Southwest region, headed by the governor of the Southwest region, Bernard Okale-Bilai, are meeting in Kumba for a regional and administrative coordination meeting to strategize on how to keep the region safe and secured during this festive period.
Security of the population of the entire region during the end of year festivities are the same that were put in place last year, and the same measures that have been put in place during all the big events, the National Day, the 20th of May, and all the other events.
Governor Bernard Okale-Bilai during the meeting frowned at the Ebeko incident where at least 20 were killed and others injured. He was impressed with the effective resumption of schools in the Southwest region despite the ongoing crisis plaguing the region.
I'm delighted to observe that the campaign ensured a smooth and effective resumption of schools for the 2023-2024 academic year were globally very successful.
Stakeholders from different sectors such as economy, public contracts, environment, to name others, presented reports on how the Anglophone crisis has affected these sectors. The two sectors severely affected by the ongoing crisis is that of cocoa sector and public contracts. Hence, the government spells out some key measures that will be carried out to revive the sectors.
That all the cocoa circulating must have a letter from the origin and to the destination, and that the cocoa, the truck transporting cocoa, must be escorted. After this meeting, in the month of December and January, mission will go to the field to verify what has been done, what has been declared to have been done, and it will be easy because the population beneficiary are there. They are represented in the various committees. They will testify if they have received the project. If not, those who are in charge will be answerable and they know the procedure.
Leaving the Southwest Regional and Administrative Security Meeting for 2023 late at night, all the senior divisional officers and military officials now know what is expected of them as they get back to their various divisions.
And on to our foreign page, a court in Mauritania has ordered the arrest and imprisonment of former President Mohamed Abdel Aziz for 5 years due to corruption charges. Nigerian President Bola Tinubu has ordered a comprehensive investigation into the military drone attack over the weekend that killed at least 85 civilians, and the U.S. government has imposed visa bans on Uganda who are fighting against the LGBT law. Laura Asangani gives us details across the world.
A court in Mauritania has jailed former President Mohamed Ould Abdel Aziz for 5 years for corruption. It found Aziz guilty of money laundering and abusing his position to illegally enrich himself, but acquitted him on other charges. The court also ordered the confiscation of his illegally acquired assets. Aziz, 66, was elected president in 2009 after toppling President Sidi Abdullahi in a coup, and went on to lead Mauritania until 2019. He had been on trial in the capital Nouakchott since January, alongside 10 other prominent figures, including 2 former prime ministers and former ministers who served in his administration. They had been charged with several offenses, including abuse of power, money laundering, illicit enrichment, and influence peddling. The court, which specializes in corruption and economic crimes, also sentenced some of the co-accused on Monday, even though lighter sentences were given to Aziz, while the former prime ministers and 2 ex-ministers were acquitted. However, Aziz maintained his innocence throughout the trial and described his prosecution as politically motivated. Nigeria's president has ordered an investigation after the country's military launched a drone strike at a public gathering this weekend, killing at least 85 people and wounding dozens of others. Villagers in Nigeria's northern Kaduna state had gathered for the Muslim celebration of the birthday of Prophet Muhammad when they were hit by the airstrike operated from an armed drone at around 9 p.m. Sunday. Those killed included children and elderly, according to emergency services, as the search for more bodies continues. Community leaders told local media that the death toll was over 90 people, and eyewitnesses in the rural town of Tundunbiri described horrific scenes of several mutilated bodies. Worthy of note is, in January, 39 people were killed by an army airstrike in the central state of Nasarawa. In June, the Nigerian Air Force admitted responsibility and has since provided no further details on whether any officers were held accountable. On to other stories, the United States announced Monday that it will refuse to grant visas to Ugandan officials who enforce a controversial anti-homosexuality law enacted in the East African country in May that includes penalties, including the death penalty. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said the measure will apply to Ugandan officials, both serving and former, and their family members if they are found to have played a role in the repression of members of marginalized or vulnerable populations. These groups include environmental defenders, human rights defenders, journalists, LGBTQ people, and leaders of civil organizations. As soon as the law was passed, U.S. President Joe Biden called for its immediate repeal and threatened to reduce U.S. aid and investment in Uganda. Nonetheless, the new decision on visas, which does not publicly name any names, is an extension of the restrictions imposed on Uganda because of the alleged irregularities in the 2021 presidential election. Yoweri Museveni, president since 1986, won another term in that election.
Thanks so very much, Laura Asangani, and that's the package we have for you today. God's willing, we'll join again tomorrow for yet another mind-blowing stories on the program Salve Vicinus. You just stay with us.
Thank you very much to our news blog for giving to us our news in the English language this morning. Good morning to you, Aloysius, and welcome.
Good morning, Otop. Thanks so very much. And how have you been?
I'm doing fine, and you?
I know it's not easy getting up very early.
Yeah. we thank God for strength, though. So today we have the topic of discussion: why do some men discriminate against women?
That's a difficult one. Discriminate against women. Well, I just want to be very fast. Most men will maybe discriminate against women or treat them badly, maybe due to the environment they grow up in. Maybe they grow up seeing their father doing the same thing, discriminating against their mother, maybe brutalizing their mother. If you see a man who beats a woman also, maybe that person have seen the father or others around doing it. So they grow up knowing that, okay, maybe mom or my wife is punching back. Another issue is maybe what women maybe have done to men. Seriously, we see all this gender-based violence, everything. I'm totally against it. But I call on those who are educating or fighting for the rights of these women to also make the women to understand that they should not push these men to get to that point where there is no return. Because at times you push somebody to the wall, and then when they retaliate, now they will not even find out the cause. I'm not saying that somebody should do anything. But very quickly, I watched a video on Facebook. A man in the US hit the wife with the car, reversed, and then ran over the wife with the car.
Again.
When I looked at that video, I was like, is this man mad? Is this man crazy? What will push this man? Then sometimes I go and read the comments, and then realize that this is a lady who was in Africa. The man traveled to America, worked, invested, and did everything, and then brought the lady over. They have their own systems there. now entrusted all the property on the woman's name. The woman now went and started dating another man, and then they pushed that man out of his own property, seized everything. He's been trying to get in contact with that lady, no way. Unfortunately, he met that lady on the way, and maybe he has gone crazy or whatsoever. He did what he did. But if that lady had maybe avoided what she did, the man would not have gotten to that extent.
Yeah.
So my own is that maybe they grow up in that environment, or what the women maybe they must have done to the man. But in every situation, beating is wrong, killing is wrong. There are better ways through which we can handle it.
All right, thank you very much. Wish Salve Vicinus to some persons out there this morning.
To all the students of the Catholic University Institute of Boya campus, who, of course, today will be graduating. It's graduation in Boya, and festivities. And also a special good morning to all our parents out there who are still thinking and doubting where money will come from for them to buy Christmas and New Year dresses for their children and maybe what to eat. Just to tell you that, just have hope, faith, and believe in God. He will make a way.
Of course, just have faith and believe in God. Do have a wonderful day, Aloysius.
Thank you, Otto.
Televiewers of DMR TV, there is a topic of discussion. Why do some men discriminate against women? Why do some men discriminate against women? That's a topic of discussion we have for you this morning, as well as the access code through which you can get to us this morning via SMS or WhatsApp, or on our Facebook page on Divine Front Pages as information. Let us take on this short break, and when we come back, we'll take on our next slot, which is a newspaper review.
Stand at attention. I get plenty things on my mind to mention. Ooh, about how God I know fit to understand. Carry me like baby, oh, 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 carry me like baby, oh.
Thank you very much to our broadcaster this morning for giving to us. Hello there once more on the program Salve Vicinus, and today we'll be looking at 4 English-speaking newspapers. Oligi talks New Deal. The President of the Republic, Paul Biya, granted the new Gabonese leader a high-level audience at the Unity Palace yesterday. This story you can find on page 3, and this Oligi arrived yesterday in Yaoundé at 3 p.m. and he was received by the president and of course other dignitaries here in Cameroon. At the top right hand of this newspaper we have the story, Minister assures of Security Forces determination to serve. This story you can find on page 5 of the Municipal Update daily newspaper. We also have the story Northwest Southwest Cow Schools, Nigerians and Basic Right Legitimate Stay. This is another story that has been captioned on the front page of the Municipal Update daily newspaper. So you can visit page 2 of the Municipal Update daily newspaper and read more on that story. Northwest Conciliator's Office schools council treasurers to boost performance is another story that has been captioned on page 3 of the Municipal Update daily newspaper, and these are some of the few stories did not escape the front page of the Herald Tribune newspaper, and you can find the story on page 4 of the Herald Tribune newspaper. We also have the story Cultural Development, Goan Festival enters UNESCO Heritage List. This is a story written by Brian Bull, and he has a brief where he is saying the 600-year-old traditional festival of the Bamon people, dubbed Nyamgun, have been acknowledged during the 18th session of the Intergovernmental Committee paper. Stamps Sabako celebrates golden and diamond jubilees in Pom, a story written by Richard Nde Lanjong, where Bamboo in Tuba Deep subdivision and Mankon town in Babenda 2 subdivision were literally transformed into a basilica as thousands joined the apostolic nuncio to Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea, His Grace Jose Avelino Betancourt, to celebrate the golden jubilee of St. Thomas Aquinas Major Seminary Stamps and the diamond jubilee of St. Bede's College, Ashinkom. In Bamboo, like in Mankon, both celebrations were marked by a pontifical high mass celebrated by the apostolic nuncio. And you can continue reading this story from page 6 to 9 of the Herald Tribune newspaper. Those are the stories captioned this morning on the Herald Tribune newspaper, so you can pass by any newspaper stand to get the Herald Tribune newspaper and read more on those stories. The next newspaper we have for you this morning is the Horizon newspaper. It has as banner headline, Ndian Ekondo Titi do bans famine, and you can have these on page 5 of the Horizon newspaper. And at the top left hand of this newspaper, we have the story CRTV's Amy Banda celebrated in South Africa, and you can visit page 4 of the Horizon newspaper and you read more on those stories. Another story that did not escape the ink of the Angel Nkwemo, honored by Biden administration. And this story, you can have more on these on page 7 of the Horizon newspaper. And the Horizon newspaper also captioned the story, Road Infrastructure 2024 Mint Tips, and you can have these on page 8 of the Horizon newspaper. Still on this newspaper, we have the story Pick Schools Municipal Treasurers on Ethical Practice. It's another story you can find on page 12 of the Horizon newspaper. So you can pass by any newspaper stand and you grab this newspaper and read more on these stories. Still on this newspaper, we have Northwest World AIDS Day, disturbing figures call for caution. This is another story that you can find on the inside of Vicinus. If you want to get more insight on these newspapers or on these stories that have been headlined for you this morning, then you can pass by any newspaper stand in your locality and you grab a newspaper at the cost of 400 francs and get more information and more insight on these stories we have reviewed for you. Thanks.
Hello there, and of course, welcome to another edition of Health and Beauty Tips on DMR TV on Salve Vicinus, and of course, milk or formula, given that they are both 6 months. They realize that actually there are air bubbles that become trapped in the stomach and it causes them discomfort. So burping allows you, also helps prevent spitting up. Yeah, you actually see babies spitting up, and then these signs, you can actually see your baby crying, act back, or drawing legs into the tummy, or clenching their fists. Yeah, these are all signs that your baby needs burping, and that's exactly what we are going to be looking at today. We are going to be looking at that.